Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
So, I was reading this piece the other day, and it literally opens with, "This century belongs to Gen Z." And I'm like, okay, bold statement, but who are we even talking about here?
Right. So the piece defines them as basically anyone born between 1997 and 2012. And get this, there's like 2.5 billion of them globally.
Wait, 2.5 billion? That's insane. But if there's that many, why do we always lump them all together? Like, oh, they're all woke or they're all entitled, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. The material actually warns against that. It's like, don't paint the whole generation with one brush. But here's what blew my mind. 85% of Gen Z actually lives in the global south, not in the US or Europe.
So we're basically taking all our data from Silicon Valley and applying it to like rural India or Africa?
Exactly. It's completely misleading. The piece keeps hammering on this idea that having a phone doesn't mean you have the same opportunities as someone with unlimited internet in California.
Right. Like a cheap smartphone in a village with a 2 GB data plan. It's not the same thing at all.
It shapes everything, your job prospects, what you can learn, how you can even protest.
So speaking of protesting, the material talks about Nepal, right? Like September 2025, they banned a bunch of social media platforms and things got crazy?
Yeah, so there was this uprising, but here's the wild part. It had no leader, like completely decentralized. People were organizing on Discord, Telegram, anonymous forums.
No leader at all? That's actually terrifying if you're in law enforcement, isn't it?
Totally. The piece says Parliament literally burned and people died and the Prime Minister resigned and the authorities had no idea how to handle it because it didn't fit the old playbook.
So Delhi police basically panicked and was like, oh crap, what if this happens here?
The commissioner told his intelligence and operations teams to prepare contingency plans, non-lethal weapons, drone surveillance, cyber intel, all that stuff.
But doesn't that sound like, overreacting a little bit, like preparing for something that might not even happen?
The piece actually admits that might be the case, but it also says you can't just ignore the possibility. It's like, yeah, it might not be probable, but it's possible, so being ready is smart.
But here's the thing that stuck with me. The essay said the state's reaction can actually radicalize young people more. Like, how does that work?
So if you keep shutting down peaceful protests, denying permits and stuff, people take their frustrations online where there's less control. The piece had stats showing Delhi denied tons of protest applications between 2016 and 2023, like around 4,900 of them.
4,900? So the logic is choke the legal channels and people go underground.
Right. And that's when things can spiral into something bigger and messier.
But are these protests actually about real stuff, or is it just kids upset about losing TikTok or whatever?
The material is really clear on this. The trigger might be a social media ban, but the real issues underneath are corruption, unemployment, political stagnation. In Nepal, it was about governance failures. In India, you've got caste discrimination, economic problems, real structural stuff.
And the unemployment numbers are brutal, right? Like 40% of young people in India can't find jobs?
Exactly. And globally, it's even worse. Hundreds of millions of unemployed youth. You can't compare a 19-year-old in Silicon Valley to a 19-year-old in rural India who walks 2 hours to school.
And the piece also mentioned mental health, right? Like Gen Z is the most depressed generation. Is that actually true or just something we say?
There's truth to it, but it's complicated. WHO data shows younger people do have higher rates of certain mental health issues, but here's the thing, in the US and Europe, they actually diagnose it, whereas in India, there's huge stigma, and like 80% of people don't even have access to mental health services.
That's rough. And then there's all that identity stuff, gender, LGBTQ rights. The piece talks about that being a big part of Gen Z, yeah?
Yeah, way more visible activism around those issues, but also way more backlash and violence. So safety and identity are huge drivers for why they mobilize.
So what's the solution? Just more police surveillance or?
Yes, both. Actually, that says yes, prepare with non-lethal tools and cyber intel, but that's not enough. You also need dialogue, transparent rules, training cops to actually listen instead of just cracking down.
I loved how it basically said you can't just crush protests. You have to show you actually trust these people.
Right. The author's like, stop using Gen Z as a buzzword to avoid real policy debates about jobs and education and democracy.
And there was this whole thing about police needing to engage Gen Z digitally, not just spy on them, like actual partnership.
Exactly. And the bigger point is Gen Z will run the country someday. If you keep treating them like enemies, that's not going to end well.
The Nepal thing scared everyone, but the piece does say India's different. Scale and context matter, but the possibility is still there, so you need both preparation and actually reaching out.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Be smart about preparedness, but don't just suppress. Actually engage, understand why they're angry, fix the real problems, and build some trust through honest conversation.
Man, if only policymakers actually listen to that part.
Yeah. Yeah, let's hope.